A beautiful Tuesday morning, I must say, right here in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Good morning. How are you doing this lovely Tuesday? My name is Chooks. It is 34 minutes past 7, and I'm sure the roads are busy right about now. As some of you are heading to the office, while some of you are dropping off your kids at school as well. But hey, thank you so much for listening to this dial as always. At this time of the day, we get to look at the dailies, and today is absolutely no different. Probably a bit of a surprise, you're hearing my voice on a Tuesday. I assure you that Dimma will be back on the show very, very soon. All right, taking a look at the front pages, starting off with the Daily Sun. We have bloodbath in Plateau, Anambra, Kogi, Niger. Traditional ruler, 8 others killed. 10 injured in fresh Plateau attacks. Gunmen killed 2 policemen in Anambra. In Kogi, 2 die in soldiers masqueraders clash. Another killed. Gunmen abduct 30. Head of vigilante dies as joint security task force kills over 200 terrorists. And real bloodbath, I must say, there. And that's captured on pages 4 and 27 of the Daily Sun. Tinubu hails Nigerian Navy as Africa's most formidable maritime force, commissions 3 new vessels, page 7. Wike mocks opposition over primary crisis in parties, that's on page 26. Delta leaders threaten to drag INEC chairman to NJC, allege external interference in delineation crisis, page 27. Ex-Senate President Wabara urges Nigerians to unite against bad leadership. That is on page 26 as well. NUPRC operation shot as all workers begin strike over stoppage of foreign training, page 25. Or your abduction, public schools grounded as teachers comply with strike. Massive protests in Ibadan. Abeokuta starts on the front page and continues on page 6. And ADC primary, Babachir Lawal resigns, accuses party Atiku of manipulating presidential primary. Hayatuddin rules out court action, calls for united opposition, page 27. That's the front page of the Daily Sun. And just a reminder that we are currently live on YouTube. All you need to do is search for Raypa Abuja. Now to the Daily Independent, we have CBN eyes near zero fraud, 95% financial inclusion, targets reduction of cash outside banks to 40%, reassigns deputy governors a strategic shakeup to drive reform. Starts on the front page, continues on page 29 of the Daily Independent. Wike apologizes over roaming cattle in Abuja, takes responsibility, says Jonathan, not PDP presidential candidate, page 7. FG WIPO signed pacts to turn IP into financial assets, page 29. How Dangote refinery listing will reshape African markets, page 6. ADC primary, presidential primaries. Hayatuddin rules out legal battle, page 6. Aircraft leasing firm to tackle flight delays, lower fares. That's coming from the federal government. Starts on the front page, continues on page 7. NUPRC assures all production stable despite Pengassin strike, page 7. Troops rescue 23 kidnapped victims, recover vehicles after Kogi attack. Starts on the front page, continues on page 6. That's it for the Daily Independent. To the Daily Monitor now. Orire abduction. NUT declares indefinite strike in Oyo, demands unconditional release of abducted school children and teachers. NANS, Abeokuta residents protest, seek swift rescue of victims. Will deploy every lawful tool available to ensure our children, teachers are returned home. That's coming from the president directly there. Starts on the front page, continues on page 2. Nigerian Navy at 70. Tinubu commends Navy for continental leadership. Describes Navy as an indispensable pillar of both national and regional security. That you can see on page 2 of the Daily Monitor after starting off on the front page. Court delivers judgment in Owo church attack case on Wednesday, page 4. Over 30 abducted, 1 killed in early morning attack on Ayegunle Bunu, Kogi, page 2. Why I resigned from ADC ex-SGF Babachir Lawal on page 2. Abia doctors threaten indefinite strike over surgeon's abduction, page 5. Nigeria only 59% prepared for potential Ebola outbreak, says NCDC DG. Starts on the front page, continues on page 2. To the Leadership newspaper, 2027, Wike rules out Jonathan's candidacy, knocks Obi Kwankwaso Atiku, page 6. NCDC DG says Nigeria only 59% prepared for Ebola threat, page 4. Bandits abduct 30 in Kogi, attack mosque in Kaduna, kidnap worshippers, page 4 as well. Workers shut down NUPRC operations over training disputes, page 25. Tinubu building economy where ideas become wealth. That's coming from the Vice President Shettima on page 7. 36 days after, abducted Kaduna school children, others regain freedom, page 14. Oyo school abduction, protests rock Ibadan as teachers begin strike on page 7. CBN targets 95% financial inclusion, 50 million new accounts under new payment system. Now we're moving to the Daily Trust. Cholera kills 40 in Borno, starts on the front page, continues on page 3. Bandits leader contacts abducted general's family, 6 release of members, page 6. Windstorm, rain, destroy 400 houses, schools in Zamfara, Plateau, and Sokoto. That's on page 7 of the Daily Trust. Questions over Chinda's position as minority leader, APC governorship candidate, page 6. School children abductions, Borno parents slam FG silence as protests rock Oyo. That's on page 6. Abuja motorists battle flooded streets as rains set in, page 12 of the Daily Trust. Now to the Vanguard. Protests rock Oyo, Ogun over abduction of teachers, students, schools shut as teachers, CSOs protest in Oyo. Ogun residents protest, demand urgent government action. NUT to embark on nationwide protests today. Says students being used as shield by terrorists. Muslim Congress demands immediate rescue of victims. Borno residents slam FG silence over 42 abducted students. Saraki versus Turaki, PDP crisis escalates in Kwara, produces 2 governorship candidates, page 29. Middle East war, Iran suspends talks with US over Israeli attacks in Lebanon, page 9. Abduction, Oshun calls emergency meeting over border school safety, page 10. We are working to rescue kidnapped retired Major General Abubakar. That's coming from the DHQ on page 9. Caught terrorist arms supply and attacks, say Northern Christians, page 8. CBN unveils payment systems Vision 2028, page 19. The Guardian is up next. Party primaries, divided opposition, rejigs 2027 polls, line up 11 presidential candidates, and there's a picture, or there are pictures of all candidates for the election. You have Atiku here, Obi, Adebayo, Jonathan, Makinde, Donald Duke as well. And that's on page 6, leading story there from the Guardian newspaper. APC ticket, Tinubu governors fight for control of 2027 National Assembly list, page 3. Tinubu lauds Navy's professionalism as Abbas inaugurates Maritime Task Force, page 7. Gunmen kill 8 in Plateau, Kogi bans festival after deadly violence. LASG laments surge in domestic violence, records 6,753 cases in 2025. That is on page 5, and that's a very alarming figure there. NARD threatens nationwide strike over assault on doctors, page 5. Reps to probe 250 billion naira housing fund over transparency delivery concerns, page 30. And that's the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Now to the Daily Global. Rivers Coalition launching signals cross-party poll unity. That's the major headline from the Daily Global. Dangote named Africa's most admired brand for 8th consecutive year. APM chairman defends Makinde's presidential ambition, demands national political reforms. Wike unveils 31-day FCT project rollout for Tinubu. Troops in Kogi crush kidnappers, escape plan, rescue 23 victims. Nigeria's silent femicide crisis spurs call for urgent law as death toll climbs. A bit of sports above the nameplate of the Daily Global. Joshua says Fury fight means nothing without victory. To the Observer's Times, CBN Vision 2028, cash no longer king. To onboard 50 million unbanked Nigerians, deploys AI fraud detection. That's the leading story from the Observer's Times, and it's on page 1. 2022 train attack, FG rearraigns Tokoro Mamu on amended terrorism charge, page 4. IOM rescues 67,000 stranded Nigerian migrants, page 6. NSCDC arrests 14 suspected vandals, illegal miners in Abuja on page 7. FG unveils national dairy policy framework, secures $2.5 billion investment, page 8. Atiku replies Babachir, dismisses ADC primary rigging claims, page 2. And Nigeria not 100% ready for possible Ebola outbreak, says NCDC, page 3. Finally, to the daily news craft, we have crisis looms. Workers threaten nationwide strike. Demand sovereign national conference. NGF pushes for 100,000 naira minimum wage. They deserve 1 million naira. That's coming from the NLC. Starts on the front page and continues on page 2. Insecurity. APC berates Makinde for blaming FG, demands his resignation, page 10. Illegal mining, NSCDC arraigns 15 Chinese, 9 Nigerians in Nasarawa, page 7. And that's it for the Daily News Craft. And that's it for the front pages, the Daily Sun, Daily Independent, Daily Monitor, Leadership Newspaper, Daily Trust, Vanguard, Guardian, Nigerian News Direct, Daily Global, Observer's Times, Daily News Craft. This morning on the front pages as well, I'm starting off with the Daily Sun. The major headline there, bloodbath in Plateau, Anambra, Kogi, Niger. Very sad one indeed. A whole lot of figures on the Daily Sun there. Traditional ruler, 8 others killed, 10 injured in fresh Plateau attacks. Gunmen killed policemen in Anambra. In Kogi, 2 dying soldiers. Masqueraders clash. Another killed. Gunmen abduct 30. Head of vigilante dies as joint security task force kills over 200 terrorists. Well, a good one over the terrorists, we're killing over 200 of them, and foiling of kidnapping attempts as well in the country. But once again, we still have innocent Nigerians as well losing their lives to this senseless killings that keeps on ravaging our country. different parts of the country has continued to see these numbers, pile on day out, week out, month out. And sometimes we might begin to sound like a broken record when we keep talking about this, but we just have to keep talking about it. They are fellow citizens, they are brothers and sisters, who are experiencing this. It's something that we couldn't have even imagined, years back, that we'll be in a situation like this where almost on a daily basis on the papers, you get to see killings, numbers, figures, statistics, and well, everybody just, moves on. Very sad one, but it's good. I think the narratives begin to change, in terms of, Nigerians just move on once they hear these numbers that, okay, another set of, people have been killed. It's like we're getting desensitized to it. But I love the way, we've seen Nigerians, stick out, especially with the kidnapping incident in Oyo. We have the one, that happened in Borno as well, in different parts of the country. There are protests right now in Oyo State, and also going to be developing today in different parts of the country. The NUT directing its workers to go on strike, indefinite strike in Oyo, and then, solidarity protest or march in different parts of the country. So I love that, let it not be something we just overlook. It's a very important thing to just, stand beside the people who have been affected by these issues as it is right now. And when you go on the internet, you see videos coming out from these scenes, pictures, kids, their hands being tied at their backs, and I'm like, these are 3-year-olds, these are 5-year-olds, these are 10-year-olds. They're no harm to you. So why you've already kidnapped them? So why are you treating them, in such a manner as well? So it's very important that Nigerians still clamor, on the state government, the federal government as well, most especially security operatives as well, to do something very, very fast about the situation of these children. As you know, somebody has been killed already. We've seen videos of the principal being threatened, and Nigerians are, should I say, tired. And you can see that from the videos coming through from the protests in Oyo State. I think the government house as well, the road to the government house was also blocked yesterday. So a lot of people are tired of what's happening in the country. People can actually just take so much before they flip. And well, we just hope that all of this will be resolved very soon. With the president yesterday announcing 1,000 forest rangers, to go into the forest to get and to help with the situation as well. We need more. The Nigerian army as well. We need more from security operatives. It brings me to this story. I think which states now was talking about schools in the border towns, and it's very important as well that we secure schools in such areas, schools that are away from, the city center or the urban areas as well, trying to locate which of the papers carried that story there. But it's very important. We need to be up and doing, on that front. Yeah. Oshu calls emergency meeting over border school safety. That's from the Vanguard newspaper. And we've talked about this a whole lot. It's not just about providing some personnel there, and after a day or a week, they leave that area, and the area becomes subject to attacks again. If they've not before, then they become a target. Need presence in such areas as well. These rural areas, rural communities, all the towns, we need security presence there in the schools as protection for those people. Or if you want to move the schools away from, you need to act fast, with that one. You can't have our and we'll also consider their safety as well, which is very, very important. Well, the sad one of Nigeria not being ready for Ebola threats, just 59%, especially with what we've experienced in the past with the COVID, and then also Ebola as well. We had doctors, nurses, who laid down their lives to make sure it was contained, it spread, and all of that during that time. And you just wonder, do we actually learn from all these things that happen to prepare ourselves better, for future occurrences? During the COVID times, the defibrillators and co, did we even actually buy them? Did we get all these materials and all. Yeah, we're lucky to be one of those, countries that they have very high figures when it comes to, fatality rates with the COVID and Ebola and all of that. But why does it seem like we do not try to learn from these world issues and just prepare ourselves, for any in case something like this happens? And you just begin to ask your questions. What are we doing as a nation? What are we doing to improve the health sector? What are we doing to improve, education, different parts? How can we just be 59% ready with what we've seen happening in the past? It's just a very sad one. But since it's 59%, there's about 41% to go. Hopefully, we don't have any, major issues with this Ebola outbreak that's, on the continent, though. But they need to be as ready and prepared as possible. Yes, I know we have a fantastic and knowledgeable, medical practitioners in the country, but you also need to have the right equipment for them, in terms of protecting themselves and actually enabling them to also do the work. Having the best minds and hands will not just, counter any of this if the appropriate infrastructure is not there for them. 2027, still on the front pages this morning in terms of presidential elections. FCT minister there, talking also about the coalition, saying that the ADC was right from time, but created for Atiku Abubakar as the former vice president, talking about how he knows these people. He's worked with them before, from his own experiences with them as well. And what according to him, what was done to him in 2023. Looking at, the primaries, he also talked about how if his brother, Amaechi Rotimi Amaechi, had called him, would have advised him, not to run. That it was clear what was going to happen. And this is coming off the back of the likes of Hayatuddin, Amaechi, Babachir Lawal as well, knocking the primaries that happened in the ADC. But it looks like Atiku Abubakar might have settled the issues there with the likes of Hayatuddin and maybe Rotimi Amaechi. We'll see, because Hayatuddin on the paper saying that he's not going to go to court because of the primaries. But Babachir Lawal has taken a step away from the ADC. We'll see where he's going to be landing very soon. But it looks like these opposition parties are still not together. But even with the FCT minister knocking the ADC, his own party as well, the PDP, doesn't have his house in order in different parts. On the presidential front, I think in Kwara, it's Saraki versus Turaki, as one of the papers, read this morning. Also in Rivers, we don't know yet, candidates see what they're going to be doing in Rivers. So on the presidential front, one side is parroting former President Goodluck Jonathan. He's countering and saying he's not the candidate, for the party. So he's also party as well, still has issues to sort out. Can they? We'll see before 2027. Still a whole lot, that needs to be done. Everybody is still preparing for the 2027 elections, and that's still heavily appearing on the front pages this morning. Well, this morning, you can pick up a copy of any of the dailies. Most of the stories, are making a resurface on the front pages. Another one of concern is the one on domestic violence. And the approach Lagos State government, takes with when it comes to domestic violence, whether it's being a woman that's the victim or a man, they do respond, especially when it gets on the internet, you tag them and all of that, proof and co. I see very quick response from them. So kudos to them for that one. And I need other states as well to, take that, learn from that, respond, quickly. Sometimes it takes people, it takes a lot for somebody to speak up when they are involved in domestic violence. So when we can give them the help, the support they need, to get out of such situations, I think states as well should adopt such methods and means to be able to respond very, very fast. Over 6,000 cases in 2025, and probably even the others that have not even been, that were not recorded because people did not speak up. The person probably lost their lives at the end of the day and couldn't speak up for themselves. As one of the papers also did mention about the rising femicide crisis we have in the country. That's on the Daily Global, and when you go on the internet, you see it a whole lot. Ladies lose their lives for very, very silly, mundane things. I mean, as little as not even giving a guy your number, somebody just follows you home from work. So these are things we need to talk about in our society, which we see happening, which a lot of ladies have experienced as well. So on both sides, we need to actually do better when it comes to all of this. Somebody should not lose their lives because of your ego is bruised, because you couldn't, get their attention or whatever. Rape as well is one that's very harmful to the individual. So it's something you shouldn't be conceiving as a human being. But we need more. You need people to speak up more. We need more action as well against these issues. Well, that's it for the papers this morning. We got to go very soon. And just to let us know a bit of sports, Serena Williams is going to be coming out of retirement, yes, for the grass court season. So that's an interesting one. I think she's going to be doing the doubles. So it'll be interesting if it's going to be with her sister, Venus. Will she also be there for Wimbledon? Well, we'll see. But grass courts for Serena Williams. She loves the surface as well. That should be interesting for her. And congratulations to James Milner for a fantastic footballing career spanning over 20 years. Over 658 appearances in the Premier League, the official record as well. So congratulations to him. That's it for the dailies this morning. The name is Chooks. Thank you so much. Still the Ultimate Morning Show. More for you on this dial. Political platform at 9 a.m. It will be live on YouTube as well, Ray Power Abuja, and our sister station AIT and this star 100.5 FM. Fact File 8:30. Don't go anywhere. Keep it locked in.